K21 talk show. This is Aditya. Today's guest is from England, from the county which has produced some of the best ever English batsmen and most notably some famous captains too, Essex. He started his career with Essex in 2002, started his international career in 2007, and since the turn of the decade, he's a regular in almost all T20 leagues around the world. 350 plus T20 matches, 7,000 plus runs, 200 plus wickets, an absolutely excellent all-rounder. Let's welcome Ravi Bopara. Hi Ravi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So have you guys resumed practice? Have you guys resumed some level of training?
A little bit, not too much at the moment. Sorry, I'm just going to sort out my camera.
Yeah, sure.
There we go.
That's perfect.
So, I mean, we do a little bit of training here and there, but the official training with the county hasn't started yet. So we're waiting to see.
Lovely. And Test cricket we are probably 10 days away from Test cricket resuming in England. So that's a wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful.
That's exciting. That's exciting. I think a lot of people are waiting for a bit of live cricket to be shown, and all the cricket lovers around the world want to see something happening. So I think it's good news.
Yeah, it could be a massive mood changer. Yeah. Ravi, let's get started. So, first of all, thanks for appearing on the show. So, all I want to do is I want to do a very happy recollection of your starting from your Essex days till now. So, going back all the way back to 2002, you made your debut for Essex when you were 17. So, not many people have made their debut for Essex at the age of 17. How special was it to How special was it to make your debut at 17?
Oh, it was absolutely, it was very special to make that debut. Although when you're at 17, you don't think much. You just think it's another game of cricket. It's only now that you realize, you're playing for your county means the world. So, but it was nice. I didn't do much in the game. I remember batting at number 7 or something, and in the second innings, I slipped down to number 10 or something. So, but we won. That was the main thing. Andy Flower scored a big 100.
Yeah, Ronnie Irani was the captain. I think.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So first 3 years of your career. So I'm talking about the first class career. You were batting like you mentioned just now. You were batting all over the place. You didn't really get a designated batting position. You were batting sometimes at 5, sometimes 6 or lower. You had to wait, if I'm not wrong, 14 matches for your first 50 and then 21 matches for your first 100. As a teenager, how hard was it? You just mentioned that you didn't have a lot of pressure, but not performing for 3 years must have been hard on you. How did you go through that phase?
Well, when I made my debut, I think that season I only played 1 game, and then I think I went into the next season and I think I only played 3 or 4 games in that season. And then into the next season, I think was another 4 or 5 games. And then into the next season again was broken up as well. So it got to the point where I said to the captain, Ronnie Irani, that look, if I don't play regularly, then I'm going to have to move on and push my career somewhere else. To which he answered and answered quite quickly, saying, okay, from the start of next year, you will get the first half of the season to do whatever. So that was eight games. He said, you'll have the first half of the season guaranteed from me, which I accepted and said, okay, that's fair enough. And then I stayed, I continued on and started the next season. And after that, never looked back, really. I scored my 100 during the early part of that season and went on and stayed in the team after that.
Lovely. Your breakthrough year was obviously 2007. Beginning of 2007, you had made your ODI debut. You played the victorious Tri-Series in Australia, and in county, I think you had about close to 900 runs. The Test debut followed, and it can't get any tougher. You made your Test debut against a red-hot Muralitharan and Jayasuriya in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that very clearly. I mean, going there and playing it, and Malinga as well. I remember in the second test. I mean, in the first test, you had Murali and Jayasuriya operating from each end.
Jayasuriya.
And the biggest task for me on my debut was to read Murali. Which way is he spinning the ball? Was the big thing for me. And at that stage, he was changing his pace quite a bit because obviously he at that stage he had a bit of a shoulder injury. He just recovered from a shoulder injury, and there were some balls in there which he was bowling so fast. I could barely see it. As soon as it hit the pitch, it would just spin and go somewhere else. And that's when I realized that this is going to be tough. But what I quickly realized is what I got to do is just back whatever I know. Whatever I've learned in my short first class career is what I'm going to have to do here. But I started off well. I think in the first innings or something, I got 30 odd.
Second innings, you got a 34. You had a good partnership with Pryor.
That's right. And then I got out to LBW to Jayasuriya. And I think I was caught down leg side in the first innings of Murali. Good catch from Sangakkara as well, who's a good friend of mine now. But then going into the second test, I think we put on a massive partnership, huge partnership. And then I think Malinga came back with the second new ball. He got a wicket, then I went in, and he bowled me out swinging Yorker, first ball, which I tried to hit through the leg side. I tried to hit through the leg side and it swung out and took my off stump. And then I was thinking, okay, this is hard work. And then I remember going into the third test, just after the toss, we were doing slip catch practice, and I got one on the thumb and snapped my thumb. But this was already after the toss, so we weren't allowed to change the team. So I remember sitting there, we were batting first, just about to go in to bat. So the physio said, look, when the batsman gets out, we'll have to inject your thumb, and then you'll have to go walk out and bat. He goes, because then the pain will go. So I remember we injected it when I was next in, a little bit of a partnership, tiny bit of partnership. Then as soon as he got out, quickly injected it just before, put my gloves on, walked out. And I just remember not being able to feel my hand. And I took on a drive through the offside of Chaminda Boss. And I didn't feel anything on the bat. I looked up to extra cover to see where the ball was gone, and it was going straight to mid-on for a catch. So it was hard work, and then obviously I was left out the side after that, quite rightfully as well. So
But you did come back in 2009, and then the 3 consecutive 100 against West Indies. The 2009 Ashes was probably not as good as 2005, but in terms of competition, it was a very, very, very hard fought series. So, do you feel that you should have got a little more chances in Test matches? I mean, even in your last outing, you scored a 40 or 44 not out. So, do you feel that you should have got more chances in Test matches?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I could have come back a bit later in my career and played Test cricket. But then the emergence of T20 cricket came as well. And there was so much cricket happening at the time, and then obviously the IPL was kicking off at that time. Other leagues, was just starting to pop up, so there became a bit of a focus shift onto what people wanted to watch, and I certainly really enjoyed playing T20 cricket. I thought it was an exciting format, and then started working a little bit harder on my T20 game during that period as well.
So you were one of the first T20 Sri Lankers to come out of England. Ovi Shah was there, Kevin Peterson much later in his career. So obviously, when you started off, you were you've been playing T20 right from whenever the format was started in 2003. So, but you were not an aggressive batsman right at the beginning. So how much did you have to change your T20 game, and then to become from a seasoned county player to becoming a T20 expert, like playing in the leagues all over the world. How much did you have to change, and how much effort did you have to put in?
Quite a lot, because we were brought up on the diet of playing 4-day cricket, which is having a good defense, hitting only the bad balls for four, playing the ball along the ground. That is how we, in my era, the people were brought up, or in my childhood. So changing to having to take on the fielders and take on, shots that you would never dream of doing, that took a long time. That takes a long time to process and get it right. So it took a lot of hard work. I mean, the bowling had to change as well. Had to learn new skills as a bowler, because just running up and just bowling one delivery was never going to work in T20 cricket. You had to do something different. So a lot of that took time. That sort of that takes a long time to bring into your game and start executing it. So but it was a great transition. It was I enjoyed every minute of it.
You just mentioned something about your bowling, how you just couldn't bowl just one delivery and then get away with it, and then you had to work on a lot of variations. So, Ravi, like you have always been, even though 200 plus T20 wickets speaks for itself, but like when you played in IPL, they didn't use you a lot as a bowler. And not just you, the people, the medium pacers, especially the gentle medium pacers, they don't get the respect they deserve, do they?
Probably not. No, I agree with you. I don't think they do, because anybody who bowls less than 140 or 135, I guess, is not considered a proper bowler, unless they're a spinner. But in my opinion, that's to be a medium pacer and have change-up deliveries. It's a bit of an art. You have to execute well. You can't afford to miss too often. You've got to have a good change of pace in your deliveries. That takes a lot of hard work to I guess master that sort of skill, because you can't only have one delivery or two deliveries. You need three at least to combat the T20 batters nowadays. And I guess if you can bowl 140, 145, that's a great skill, and you're very fortunate to have it, because you will get away with a lot. You don't necessarily need too many other deliveries as long as you can bowl that sort of pace. But if you're bowling sort of 70, 75 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, you're going to need skill. And that's a fine art that these guys work really hard on. I know a lot of medium pacers around the world who are relentless. They bowl, they train so much because they know that they have to be on top of their game. They know their slow balls have to be how they want it to be. Landing precise, exactly where they want it. They have to be precise. So it takes a lot of hard work, and it'll be nice to be for people to recognize that you can be a medium pacer and be a proper bowler.
Yeah, like you just mentioned. So when T20 cricket started, it was all about pace. Like people wanted 140, 150, 140 bowlers who could just run in York batsmen. And now teams are complaining, even if they have one quality leg spinner in their team, they want two. Sometimes the IPL franchises have three leg spinners. So when teenagers when they start when they join the pace academies or whatever, or when they start training, why don't those teenagers get told, like, listen, why don't you pick up medium pace as an art instead of just trying to work on your pace all the time? Because every kid gets told that, okay, run in, follow this, you'll be able to increase your pace. But why not this? Why do you think the teenagers don't get told that pursuing medium pace could be a very, very good thing?
Because I guess a lot of them are still training for Test cricket. Because in Test cricket, you are going to need that extra little bit of pace. So, the coaches around the world are not only training people for T20 cricket, they're training people for all formats of the game. So, and we've seen in the past that the most successful T20 bowlers are actually the ones who have pace, but also have a very good change-up delivery, who can deceive the batsman with a slower ball. So when you can go from 140. And then your slow ball suddenly drops down to 120.
110, 120.
Yeah, 120 or something. Then that's a big change of pace, and that can really mess up the batsman. So I guess you got to train people to have that pace and then be able to bring it down with a change of pace, and then you become very effective not only as a middle overs starter, but then you become a very good death bowler as well. And we've seen it with Malinga, who's one of the best in the world, who has been the best T20 bowler of all time. He bowls from 140, and then his slow ball deceives everybody. And Bumrah is another one. Bumrah is another one who can bowl 140, 145, and then suddenly he bowls you a slow ball, which is 115, 120, and dips as well. If you can produce that type of bowler, then you're onto a winner. You're onto a superstar.
Yeah, not to forget Dwayne Bravo.
Dwayne Bravo as well. Yeah, not quite 140 anymore, but
100 for sure.
Oh, unbelievable! His slow ball is probably the best in the world, and has been for a long time. Him, you can name a few. Malinga, Bumrah, Bravo, these guys are some of the best slow balls there is in the world.
So, Ravi, this off late, I think you started playing BBL at the beginning of the decade, and then you've pretty much been a regular in almost all T20 leagues. And like you're in the mid, you're 34, 35 now. So when T20 came about, especially when you look at the World T20 squad in 2007. People thought this game was only for youngsters. So especially India, they didn't send a lot of big players. They sent a bunch of youngsters. And barring Australia, where they still carried a lot of their main players, almost every other team sent out youngsters. But what has actually happened is T20, like the people like you, or people Kevin Petersons also, Michael Hussey, all these players, like they've actually shown how this game is actually it's probably it's more for experienced people and not just youngsters.
Yeah. I said it a long time ago in an interview that this is an old man's game. You can, just because it's fast paced and only T20 overs, it doesn't necessarily mean it's for the youngsters. And I think over time that's proven that it's a game for a man with experience, who can think on his feet, who's been through the situations, because it's a game where you don't have a lot of thinking time. You don't have a lot of time to get yourself into the game. So that's where the experienced player who knows his game, who knows how to A, chase down a score as a batsman, or B, how to bowl in certain situations. And it's plain obvious as a player, when you're standing in the field and you're talking to your captain or you're talking to other experienced players, they see the game differently to what the youngster sees it. And you try to sometimes explain it to a youngster, so even on the field at the time, and they don't understand, and that only comes with experience. And we've seen with results now, when you've seen Chennai, who had some of the oldest players. Oldest squad, yeah? Yeah, oldest squad, and they're always there and thereabouts. And some of the best players in T20 are those older, experienced guys. And I've said it for a long time. It's more of an old man's game.
Absolutely, I think it's just so rewarding to see like how people were so wrong back in 2000 saying this game is for youngsters, and then now the men in mid-30s are ruling it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ravi, just like your form with the form in white ball cricket, be it ODIs or be it List A or T20, hasn't dropped, and even your ODI career, you played about 120 matches, but you had the same problem which you had in the beginning of your first class career. You were never probably given a definitive batting position. You batted all the way from number 1 to number 8, and plus on top of all that, you had your fair share of criticism from all corners. And how, like, are you still do you still think that you have something left in you to make a comeback into the ODI and T20 setup?
In terms of T20 cricket now, I'm playing some of my best T20 cricket I've
Hmm.
played for a long time. And again, that's come with experience playing around the world. And do I have a chance to get back into that England side? It's a tough one because it's a very, very good white ball side. There's some fantastic players in there who I think deserve to be there. And is there space for someone like me? Maybe, with an experienced head, I can add value to that team. But I think you got to look at it from England's point of view. Are they planning for the future? Yeah, it depends whether England wanna win with immediate effect, and then you pick the best 11 players in the country who are good at T20 cricket, or you develop people. So it's interesting. I'd love to play. I'd love to play T20 international cricket. I think it's a great stage. Yeah, but I'm also very, very happy playing leagues around the world as well. I think that's a very challenging task as well. I think for those who haven't played around the leagues around the world, you'll be shocked at how difficult it can be because you're playing in different conditions all the time against different bowlers. These are bowlers who nobody has seen. They
Yep.
suddenly just pop up. They've come from first class cricket into a franchise team. Nobody's seen them, and they come and they surprise everybody. Those sort of guys are hard to play against. I think it's a little bit easier when you've watched somebody for so long, and these players who are known. I think you can. I think they're a bit easier to play against because you know what's
Yep.
coming. But with these new guys, there's always new guys, new batsmen, new bowlers. They're the most difficult to play against because you've never seen them. You don't know what tricks they have up their sleeve or what their strengths are.
Yeah, especially somewhere like a BPL or somewhere. Even in India, you still get a lot. There's still enough coverage, and then most of the players get seen before they play an IPL. But whereas in Bangladesh, where the domestic cricket does not have a great deal of coverage, it's very difficult. I mean, if I'm not wrong, Rashid Khan's first big match. Was I remember he hadn't played a lot for his team, and then his team was out of contention. He played in that match, same match. He dismissed Sangakkara and Jayawardene in the same over, and then the rest is
Yeah,
history.
the
So,
rest is
which,
history.
yeah, Ravi, not just batting, even with your bowling. So, if you look at it, most of the English pacers, with all due respect, they've not been successful in the shorter formats in Asia or in Asia, especially in India or countries like Bangladesh. Whereas in your case, it's actually the opposite. Like your bowling numbers are much better, not probably much better, but yeah, it's considerably better in Asian conditions compared to bowling in home conditions. Like, why do you think it's
Um,
like that?
I think. Well, firstly, most of my bowling now, all of my training is based around T20 cricket when it comes to bowling. So I focus on that. And personally, I think being an English cricketer and knowing the English system, we don't work hard on T20 skills. We never have. It's not been an important factor in English cricket. It's always been building guys for Test cricket and 50 over cricket, whereas T20 cricket at times we've left the skills behind. And you've seen around the world when these leagues popped up, when IPL popped up, BPL, all these leagues popped up, you saw those countries, especially India, you saw their skill level just go to a different level. India, I personally think India is probably the most skillful nation when it comes to T20 bowling by far. They've got designated death bowlers, designated middle overs bowlers, and that's come from playing
Wrist
in the
spinners.
IPL. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
come from playing in the IPL and one of the toughest leagues in the world, probably the highest pressure league as well. And I think that's why other countries have moved, or especially India has moved ahead when it comes to that format. Um, so bowling in Asia, I think for myself, I take the pace off the ball. I think it's important to take the pace off the ball in India or Bangladesh or any Asian conditions. Be able to use your cutters and all that sort of stuff. It's very important because those pitches grip. Whereas in England, your success comes from hitting the wicket and getting movement from the wicket, and that is what English people rely on. So I think that's going to change over the next few years. I think people are going to start focusing more on T20 cricket and having more developed T20 skills, like bowling Yorker when you need to, like Malinga does, bowling a good slow ball when you need to, bowling a wide Yorker when you need to, and all that sort of stuff. it's going to get better over time. And I think we're just lagging behind a couple countries at the moment.
Yeah, probably from next year, not just T20s, you might have to deal with the 100 as well, which. So,
Yeah.
My next question is that the English cricket calendar is probably, I don't think the cricket calendar of any other country is as packed as England. You guys start in March and then go on till September, but there are about, you play 17 first class matches, another 20, a lot of list A cricket, there's T20 plus the 100, meaning how difficult will it be for the players to adapt to such formats? For example, you'll be playing from Thursday to Monday. Thursday to Sunday you'll be playing 4 days, and then Tuesday you'll be playing some other competition. How hard will it be on youngsters? The experienced players can still manage, but what will it do to an youngster's game?
I think now you're starting to see the difference you see a lot of youngsters who are very good at white ball format, but can't perform in the long format. And then you got the guys who play very well in long format and can't perform in the white ball format. Because the difference between the two games is becoming more and more. Whereas back in the day, 5-10 years ago, it was sort of near each other, 4-day cricket and 50 over cricket. You could get away with playing, but now 50 over cricket has moved so far ahead. And T20 cricket has moved so far ahead that training for both formats or all three formats is very difficult to do. And I always judge the cricketer on his performances across all three formats. If he could play all three formats at a very high level, very good standard, then I considered him as a proper cricketer. They call a proper cricketer because he can chop and change like that. That takes adaptability, skill, everything. And that's how I always judge the cricketer. But I think over time now, last couple of years, I'm starting to appreciate guys who are just good at their one format. Something I would never have done this in the past. I would have said, well, you can only play one format. I'm not interested. I don't think until you can play all three formats, I can't rate you to a certain level. But now that's changed because all three formats are different now, and people who focus on their one format and master it, I have a lot of respect for now. Like, for example, Andre Russell. Andre Russell is clearly one format, T20 or T10, whatever you want to call. That is his skill, and he's become an absolute demon at it. And then you've got Pollard, and you've got Bravo. All these guys who just absolutely mastered their and Chris Gale mastered their format, and I have a lot of respect for that. And I've learned a lot from those guys as well. I've also said that I'm not going to play much 4-day cricket anymore. I want to focus on T20 and push for a longer T20 career and play all over the world. For me, this is like international cricket. So and that's my focus.
Lovely to hear that. We also hope to see you back in the English T20 team, hopefully sometime soon as well. I mean, 2002 Essex, and you finally moved on from Essex. So you've almost spent half your life at Essex. How hard was it moving on, and then why the decision to move on?
Very difficult decision, obviously, after playing my whole career there. But things didn't seem right to me at the time. In last year county season, I'd continuously been asking for a longer contract, 2 years at least, which I wasn't getting. I was sort of being pushed to sign 1-year contracts, and I was determined that I wanted a 2-year contract, which wasn't offered to me. Although I was performing, and it kind of it hurt my feelings that other people were getting longer contracts apart from myself. So that was a starting point, and negotiating and all that sort of stuff. It wasn't going anywhere. We weren't reaching anywhere, and I think that probably the nail in the coffin was when I was dropped from the T20 side. I was left out from the T20 side for reasons which I guess were trivial at the time. Now, when I think back to it, it was a bit of this. Personally, I think it was a silly move.
Yeah.
But, I was dropped from the T20 side, and that was the nail in the coffin for me, because I thought, well, if I can't make this T20 side, then if I can just be left out for no reason, then this spells trouble for me. But I was determined not to go out like that for a team, for a county that I love. I want to finish on a high. I want to do everything I can. And I had been preparing for the county season, especially T20, for 6 months prior. I said, this is going to be the best T20 year for me, for Essex. And I'd been practicing. And during the summer, during the 4-day games, I was practicing with white ball. People were looking at me weird in training, saying, why is he training white ball when we've got a 4-day game starting tomorrow? All that sort of stuff. So I'd worked so hard, and then to be dropped after second game was a nail in the coffin for me. And then I said, well, I can't go out like this. So I went to the second team. I said, I'm going to play second team cricket. I'm going to perform. I'm going to put pressure on them to pick me. So I did, and I went and played well in second team cricket. And I was picked again, selected again. And then after that, we just went on a roll. I think I got something like 4 or 5 man of the matches in a row. Straight to the finals day. Had a great finals day. Probably the best day of my career. Probably ended up being the best 1 week of my career. Well, not probably. I think.
It was such a poetic ending to Essex career as well. So 21st, as you said, the final day, you were the non-striker when Harmer finished it off, and then 2 days later. 23rd, like you were not even fighting the opponent, you were actually fighting rain to win the county division. So how was that week? So 2 titles, and then I'm sure you must have left Essex. Had you already made the decision to leave Essex before that, or was it after that?
Yeah, I had already had a meeting way before to explain to them, look, because the contract, any contract offer that was offered to me was withdrawn. So I had nothing on the table, so I had to go back and say, okay, I understand, and I'm going to be moving on, which I don't think anybody took seriously at the time. And then that last week when we won both trophies, it was the best feeling in the world, because the T20 trophy, we didn't have it. That was the one trophy in county cricket that I personally hadn't won. So that's why it was so important to me to win that, and then again to win the championship again after 2 and 3 seasons was it just showed we're the best team in the country, because we were dominating 4-day cricket, and obviously the T20 trophy was icing on the cake.
Lovely, absolutely lovely to hear that. Ravi, before we let you go, we have 2 segments. One is you have to describe. I'll give you the names of 5 of your teammates, mostly Essex teammates who play Essex and England teammates. You have to describe them in 1 line. And there's a rapid fire, which is 5 questions about yourself. So can we start?
Yep.
So describe these players in 1 line. Alistair Cook.
Very hard worker. Very fit, and very determined.
Okay. Next is James Foster.
James Foster is a seasoned pro, with I would say the best county wicketkeeper ever to play.
Okay. Graham Napier.
Big hitting Graham Napier. With his big in-swinging Yorkers. He's the man who writes his own scripts.
Okay. Mark
Pettini, a good friend of mine, previous captain, a good leader. I would say Mark Pettini was a good leader of men.
Okay. And last, Ryan ten Doeschate.
Probably the greatest leader, in my opinion, that I've played under. And the one line to describe him is, I would say, very loyal and one of my best friends.
Lovely. Ravi, just 5 more questions about on your career before we let you go.
Sure.
Okay, so rapid fire starts now. On your T20 debut, which position did you bat at, and who was the batsman who batted after you?
Is this for England or Essex?
No, domestic T20, Essex.
Which number did I bat? I'm gonna say number 8. I batted.
Okay, and who batted after you?
Ryan Tenderskar.
Okay, you got it partly right. So you batted at 9, Tenderskar batted at 10.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. From there to here. Yeah. Your first T20 I wicket, T20 international wicket.
First T20 international wicket.
Yeah. I can give you a clue. That was that person's only T20 I gave. The batsman.
Sorry, it was.
So your first T20 I wicket, the person who you dismissed played only one T20 I in his career.
Can you give me the country? Which country did we play against?
2011. 2011. Like if I tell you the country, it'll become very easy.
Really? Oh God, I can't even remember who we played against. Played against India.
Indian. Yeah. Okay.
I got no idea.
Okay, Rahul Dravid.
Oh no, really? Oh
Yeah.
wow, Rahul Dravid. That's not a bad one.
Okay, your first ODI wicket and only Test wicket are the same batsman. Who's it?
Jawadina.
No.
First ODI wicket, did you say?
First ODI wicket and only Test wicket.
First ODI wicket, I'm sure, was Marco Hassi.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. And the next question. You've dismissed 4 batsmen twice in ODIs. Can you name 2 of them?
4 batsmen that are dismissed twice
Yeah.
in ODI cricket.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say Amla?
No.
No.
3 Australians, 1 South African.
3 Australians, 1 South African. Okay. Bailey?
Correct?
Bailey, okay. Bailey, Michael,
You got half the name right.
what's his name, man? I've forgotten the old Australian captain. It's not coming to my mind now.
Michael Clark.
Michael Clark. How can I forget one of my favorite batsmen? Michael Clark, Bailey.
That's okay. I just needed 2. The other 2 are. You want to guess or can I tell you who it is?
Faf du Plessis?
Yes, Faf du Plessis was 1 more. Yeah, and the other was not a batsman, Mitchell Johnson.
I was gonna say Mitchell Johnson.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks a lot for your time. It was absolutely lovely. It was absolutely lovely catching up with you. Good luck for your domestic career, and as I said, we really hope to see you back in England T20 at colours soon.
All right, thank you, and thank you for everyone who watched as well. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. Okay, take care. Bye.